Hello and welcome to the session about artificial intelligence and its impact on future business, career, and how safe we all are in the hands of machines and artificial intelligence enabled robots. My name is Nitish Singh. I'm a member of SCA, CISI, IPA, and Institute of Directors. I'm Vice President in JP Morgan and also founder of FinSapien Institute, which provides training in accounting, financial courses. Also, it grooms professionals and students for career in accounting and finance. So based on various requests and demand for a session and video on artificial intelligence, how to prepare for this, what it holds for the future. Here I'm going to present a session to you, and just to make it simpler and easy to visualize, I'll also share a PowerPoint shortly. This is going to cover various aspects of artificial intelligence in our life. It's going to be a 90 minutes plus session. However, it will be definitely useful to you and will cover various questions that you might have about AI, its impacts in our life. So here I start with the PowerPoint slide. So as you can see, the first page, a robot and human both are interacting with each other. It has a great symbolic meaning that artificial intelligence has a meaning and a benefit only when machines and robots both work collaboratively and together. So that's why this theme to start with. So here I'm going to cover first what are some of the limitations, what are some of the fears about AI, and how we can handle this. There are often queries from the student and professionals that can AI take over our jobs? Because there are raft of messages, the news in the media that AI is going to take over various jobs, it is going to automate things, and it can cause widespread unemployment. Here I'm going to talk about some of those questions, and they are extremely important for all of us. So stay tuned with me, and we'll discuss that together. So the importance of AI really took the stride when data started to increase in our day-to-day interactions. The role of data, the amount of data started to grow in recent times. Because AI as such, or the machine learning, is not a concept which was not heard earlier. AI is in existence since last 70 years. And it's not first thing that we are hearing, first time we are hearing in last 5-10 years. It has been in existence since last 70 years, but it was not as prominent as it is now because the data was quite limited 70 years ago. Because we did not have the power to store the data at the scale that we have now. So this graph is showing how much data we have at the moment. As we talk in 2020, we have around 65-70 ZB data, which is zettabyte, and we are going to soon have, in 5 years, in fact, 175 zettabytes of data, which is anywhere around 3 times. So this much increase in data powered by the vast computing power has enabled the artificial intelligence becoming more and more useful, prevalent, and pervasive in our life and businesses. So in last 10 years, when the size of data started to grow and computing power was also exponentially growing, the artificial intelligence was becoming more popular because the entire power of AI is based on how much data that we have. If we have, say, the data about 2 million people, it can help us predict about several things: their eating pattern, their clothing preferences, their different kind of disease patterns. Everything can be more predictable when we have data of a couple of million people, as opposed to if we have data of only a few hundred people, we cannot do much predictive analysis. So AI has got the prominence because of the vast amount of data and quite exponentially rising computing power as well. So to give you an idea of how much data we are producing on daily basis, we have 2.5 quintillion bytes of data, which is around 10,000, 25,000 in fact, 25,000 terabytes of data being produced on daily basis. Now you can imagine, with this much of data, the businesses, analytics, the projection of the preferences, understanding one's habit with regard to travel, eating, fooding, furniture, consumers, FMCG, all the predictions become so easy. Even when we are trying to diagnose some disease, it becomes much more predictable and easier when we have so much data. Hence, data is becoming next to oil. Even in India, we have seen some of the big businesses, they are going short on oil. So they are selling their oil stakes, those who are really smart business people. And they are increasing their stake in data, in the technology which either produces or collects vast amount of data. So there's no exaggeration when we say data is next oil, because it is. It is going to generate a lot of business and revenue both. Hence, data is important, but how do we get a meaningful business out of this? So we have the combination of technologies which make sense of data. So we have advanced analytics, we have artificial intelligence, smart contracts, robotic process automations, blockchain, digital transformation, Internet of Things. So there are 8-9 different technology which helps us either collect, process, or distribute the data. So to give some insight about some of the new terms like smart contracts. A smart contract is a software tool or processing algorithm which goes through a particular agreement or the contract and picks up the key requirements with the date and the ETA or performance obligations in legal terms, and feed into the codes, software codes, so that at a certain time, all the different contractual obligations can be met. So smart contracts pick up the key requirements of the agreements with the time and tag that into the computer languages and the codes so that key obligations are met on time. So that is smart contracts. Similarly, Internet of Things is something which connects all the devices together. So if today some 5 billion people are connected to internet and each of them say have 1.5 or 2 devices on average, we can see trillions of permutation combination of the devices which will be connected to each other. So if one person has a mobile and laptop connected to another person's mobile and laptop, and so on and forth, there are like billions of such devices already. So that makes one single vast, complex and complicated system, which is called Internet of Things, IoT, also known as IoT. Advanced analytics is about the analytical ability of the computing, ability to draw a pattern, find out the patterns, so this is another type of softwares and algorithm which enhances the study of data. Because once we study the data, we can draw informations which is useful for any business. Digital transformation, robotic process automation, we'll talk about this further, but robotic process automation performs the automation of the repetitive and large scale operations based on certain rules. So RPA try to automate and save time, make things more efficient based on the repetition and simple rules in any operations. Cloud computing helps us save the data because, as we discussed earlier, ability to save and store the data has immense benefit for artificial intelligence and machines. And finally, process and service externalization. So how do we outsource or collaborate when it comes to sharing the data and doing the business with others? So that's another evolution and the change in the business which has helped artificial intelligence and machine learning. So all these 9 factors together helps or make the ecosystem for artificial intelligence. Moving on to the next page, this shows us the application of artificial intelligence in various businesses, such as, and in fact, it is also talking about the various subcomponents of artificial intelligence and the technological ecosystem that artificial intelligence is dependent on. How we can leverage different technologies for different types of businesses. So this chart helps us to see that. It will help us visualize what kind of technology we should pick up out of these 9 different changes or the technology that we have. So if for example, somebody wants to work on regulatory horizon, want to automate the regulatory process, or they want to improvise the anti-money laundering or surveillance or cyber security, which is quite important topic right now. So to work on that area with machines, we have to look into artificial intelligence, advanced analytics, both. Because if you see, the arrow is going into the intersection of advanced analytics and artificial intelligence. Similarly, if somebody wants to make the HR system more efficient and effective, or transaction reporting even more advanced, then one has to look into, see the arrow, robotic process automation, as well as advanced analytics, and of course, artificial intelligence. So it is the HR transaction reporting is in the intersection and overlap of 3 key technologies: artificial intelligence, advanced analytics, and robotic process automation. So this chart helps us visualize the key technology useful for various businesses, which are the area of focus for advanced technologies such as RPA, analytics, or AI, etc. Now, we have talked about at length the benefits of artificial intelligence. Now, we need to take a step back and also think, what are the disadvantages? Why so far, even since we have vast amount of data and computers processing power, if we see in the last 5-10 years, we have immense amount of data. Still, we have not seen a massive breakthrough in AI. We have not seen that much adoption in AI, and it is still making slow and gradual progress. And what is the reason behind that gradual incremental progress, whereas we could have seen much faster adoption of AI? So here I visualize 2 reasons for that. One is, and both of these can be explained through 2 stories. First one is the story of Ides of March. So this is also called black box syndrome. So Ides of March is the story of Shakespeare that goes back to the Roman Empire, when there was a saint who predicted that in March there will be an uprising and Caesar will be assassinated. He was a saint, not so much known. There was not much reliance on what the seer said because he just abruptly spoke of the uprising and the assassination of Caesar, but he did not provide any rationale what made him say that and what kind of logic or calculation he has. And anyway, he was not much known, he was not much trusted, so his credibility was also not established. So people heard it, it was noticed as well, but no one really paid attention to this. Consequently, in the middle of March, at the time of Ides of March, the stage was arranged and Caesar was just passing by the saint and said that, see, Ides of March is here and I'm still safe. And the saint replied, yes, it is here, but it has not finished yet. So the story goes on that Caesar went on the stage and within few minutes, there was a massive uproar, uprising and violence erupted in the area and somebody killed Caesar. If we reflect back, we see that why no one believed the saint and the seer because he could not explain the rationale behind his prediction and prophecy. So is the problem of artificial intelligence as well. The way artificial intelligence works is in the machine learning language, there is supervised, unsupervised, and incremental learning process in machine learning, which essentially help computer to generate their own logic to predict the or to recognize an object. Sometimes it is not manually coded, it is not coded by human. Even machine develop their own codes and languages to recognize an object or make certain decision or find out a pattern. Not only that, there are various complex algorithm and logic which is not easy to interpret humanly, even by the computer engineers, because these codes are developed by computer for its own purpose. And this is kind of a black box syndrome. In such situation, a senior executive or head of the technology or head of the business sitting on the top of the organization, they do not want to stake their head and neck on certain codes which they cannot validate, which they don't have any understanding of, which they cannot confirm, which they cannot analyze and understand. So if they can't understand the logic of the code, they can't validate that code, they don't want to use that in the business, because if something happens tomorrow, they will not be able to explain why it happened. In such situation, artificial intelligence and machines are not much encouraged in businesses and they are seen with suspicion. And it is one of the biggest limitation and bottleneck in the adoption currently. I'll also discuss how we can overcome this. The second issue is about the movie Avenger. When Ultron, an AI robot, was given the instruction to kind of get rid of the problems, to resolve the problems of Earth. And what it started doing in turn is, it started to kill human, because it's in its own way, it visualized that human are the problems on Earth. These kind of interpretations are quite dangerous. These literal interpretations can be extremely disastrous for human, for business, for everyone. And it may not be the first or last such movie or such situation. Hence, again, AI generates mistrust towards itself. So the ideas of March and Ultron altogether give us a sense of why AI could not pick up the speed even in last 10 years, despite all the technological ecosystem being ready and much more friendly to AI and machines. We'll talk about how we can solve some of these limitations and what professionals should do about this in later sections of the discussion. So the next topic I want to focus on is, often I hear professionals who are not very acquainted with this latest technology, that what are the differences between AI, ML, data analytics, RPA, etc. So here's a quick explanation that artificial intelligence is an overarching term for various technology or subcomponents as such. For example, AI is predominantly dependent on machine learning, and machine learning is the key component, the backbone of artificial intelligence. However, machine learning also depends on various subcomponents, various subfunctions or logics as well. Two main ones are DL and NLP, so deep learning and natural language processing. So what is deep learning? Deep learning is algorithm to find out the patterns in the data, to go beyond the statistical evidences, and it try to dig into what are the key insight in the data, how to find, and it also enables the machine to find out the pattern itself, such as when we are playing chess with somebody. It will learn what is going on, how this person makes the move, what are the weaknesses in the pattern. So these kind of things can be done through deep learning. Whereas natural language processing, NLP, this try to decode various languages, be it optical character reader. It also uses the optical character reader, but it tries to read, learn, and decode the human languages. It also scans the data and find out and try to read, even though somebody has written in the cursive writing. Even if something is scanned versus typewritten, NLP will try to understand what is printed. It is a great tool because right now we have data in last several hundred years, which is scanned. Sometimes it is typewritten, sometimes it is handwritten. The data is not very systematic. This is one of the big limitations of machine learning as well. But NLP makes this simpler because it can not only read scan data, but it can read varieties of data or varieties of different sentences and languages, and it still can make sense out of that. So natural language processing is useful. It uses the technology like OCR, MICR, optical character reader, magnetic ink character readers, so on and forth. Various vendors are out there who are using NLP to help major banks streamline their process, automate their processes. So I'll give a very simple example. Imagine that you're working for a custody operations and everything is done manually. You get thousands of details, statement, documents. Some are PDF, some in Word documents, some are scanned, some are proper PDF, readable PDF, etc. But if you feed all these documents into a system which is automated with the help of natural language processing and also something called RPA, which is robotic process automation. So NLP will help you scan different documents, find out the statement number, the custody number, account number, the number of security identifiers, no matter where it is. So even if different vendors, different custody service providers or agents, they have the information at different parts of the statement, NLP, which is powered by robotic process automation, can identify where is the statement number, where is the security number, whether it is left, right, top, or bottom, it can figure out. And not only that, it can also extract those data and feed into a simple Excel or any such database. And after doing that, the robotic process automation will come in picture. It will analyze all these details and will find out which vendor has not sent the data, or which vendor had the largest amount of securities reflected, or any such information can be found using the robotic process automation, and it can generate a report. This report can be reviewed by a human analyst, and that can be actioned upon. So in that way, we can see how robotic process automation can work. NLP can power RPA, and a human analyst can also work in conjunction with the robots, AI, RPA, NLP. And this kind of collaboration is what will be useful in future, and this is what is expected as well. We do not foresee that artificial intelligence will take over the entire world. That's one of the fear. Many predictions have been made. So just to give you an example, Elon Musk once said that artificial intelligence is no less dangerous than nuclear bomb, or no less dangerous than North Korea. The late eminent scientist Stephen Hawking made similar predictions that artificial intelligence will cause a disaster for human existence. But on the same time, Tim Cook and various other thinkers have also said that artificial intelligence is not going to cause such a massive damage to human existence as we think in an exaggerated way. The reasons some of the proponents and supporters of AI give is that you can teach a 2-year-old baby a difference between a cat and a dog. In one go or in 2 attempts, they can learn. A 2-year-old baby can identify a cat quite easily. But if you try to teach the same thing to an AI-powered robots or artificial intelligence tool, it will take you so many different iteration, supervised, unsupervised learning of machine learning system, and various support. Still, it will not be perfect. It can still make the mistake. If there is any breed of dog which looks like a cat, it can get confused. But a 2-year-old baby can still make a better judgment. When a 2-year-old baby can have such a significant cognitive superiority, intelligence superiority over artificial intelligence tools, you can imagine how much an adult can do, how much more intelligence of various aspects an adult possesses over an artificial intelligence. So there are both sides of argument, and I also believe that AI is not going to become completely disastrous, whether it is whether we are talking about business, we are talking about the employment, or we talk about human existence as such. AI is not going to be such a big disaster. It is going to help us in the future. I have one biggest reason to believe is that so far when we are talking about all AI tools, these are very specialized AI. Because we are talking about the AI in general, it is the right time to discuss this. When we have specialized AI being developed right now, they are focusing on one small part of human intelligence. So one AI developed by Watson that goes through a big chain of legal documents and interpret them, and they are great in that. There's no doubt they can go through thousands of pages of the legal document, scan it, interpret quite well, much better than an experienced group of corporate lawyers. However, these tools are developed after years and years of hard work, and they are still very much specialized. They can do one function at a time, or one superpower AI can function a small slice of what a human can perform. A very small part of function can be done right now by an AI tool. They are super specialized in their role. super specialized in their function and cognitive abilities. But a human has much more diverse thinking and cognitive abilities. Any human can be trained maybe after 6 months or 1 year or 2 years of effort in various different fields, whereas it takes years and years and decades of development for an AI. So all the AI currently are they are all specialized ones. The general AI, on the other hand, which we really think of is going to be dangerous, is one which can do like 10, 20, 50 different functions in one single robot. That is general AI. A general AI means AI which can learn itself various functions just by observation or after being fed some data. A general AI will have cognitive abilities like a 5 to 10 years old child, which can adopt, observe, learn, and get trained for varieties of different skill set. That will be general AI because it is not specialized, it is not functional, it is general. It has a real cognitive abilities. And those kind of general AIs are not built yet. Neither they are likely to be in next 20 years at least. So we have not seen any general AI and it will be ready by only after 2040 or 2050. Okay. And then who knows what else we have as a human, what else we get to control such general AI as well. Or maybe we have some other new technologies to worry about. So at least I can say for now, we don't have any strong reason to fear AI. That is about the human existence, how AI can harm or cannot harm human. When it comes to the business and the employment, there too I do not see bad news because of AI. If we do the time travel for last 100 years or even 150 years, we see that human society has continuously evolved. We discovered fire, then we discovered wheel, planes, then we faced industrial revolution, we also got computers, and all such changes were also thought to bring unemployment and social gaps. In fact, it only facilitated the evolution and the prosperity of human because they made things more efficient and effective. Similar will be the nature of artificial intelligence. Of course, one thing I accept, there will be definitely change in the nature of job. There will not be a net decrease in the number of jobs. There will be a change in the nature of job. So, for example, if we see certain jobs in 2020, there could be 1 million jobs in certain fields. It may not be there in 2025 or 2030. Those 1 million jobs might disappear, but definitely there will be creation of another 1 million job or maybe 2 million jobs in other fields, because the AI will transform the nature of the job, the way things are done. Of course, when robotics enters or the automation is done in, say, manual reconciliation process, it will save capital, it will save human effort, FTE, as we use in the corporates. But at the same time, those saved capital or efficiency will create jobs in other areas. That means we as a human just need to upgrade ourselves for new job, which is likely to be created by 2025 or 2030. We don't have to fear about the job that is being lost. We just have to upgrade and the AI will bring us into a new orbit. It will just change the orbit, but it will not reduce the number of jobs. Because the new capital, a massive amount of capital which will be saved, it will create new horizons. There will be much more value added job that will be required. People will be required to do more analytics or value adding activities, something that we can do but robots or artificial intelligence cannot do. Those kind of roles will be required in future. So if we ask that what kind of roles we can do better, what are our strengths, I would say we can focus on two areas. where computers or AI cannot compete. One is emotions and behaviors, and second is context. I'll go one by one. So I read a recent article by Harvard Business Review that 93% of the employers consistently believe that employees that they are looking for are those who are great in communications, critical analysis, critical thinking, and finding solutions. And finding solution is not a functional or a specialized skill only. It is about thinking creatively. So creative thinking, social skill, social abilities, emotional intelligence, collaboration, negotiation, understanding various cultural aspects, dealing with people, diffusing conflict, smart negotiations, ability to deal with different people, handling clients and customers, talking to unknown strangers, finding out is a commonality between group of people, thinking of new business, and all such kind of design thinking, creative thinking. These are the skill set which are unique to us, unique to human. These are the soft skills. They are the social skills, empathy, human values. These are the skill sets that will be much more important in future when things will be much more consumer driven, machine driven, and machine cannot understand human side of their transactions, the human side of the businesses, and that's where human will be needed. And social skill or the soft skill are considered to be undersold because these are the skill set which cannot be systematized. There cannot be a standard operating procedure, or there cannot be steps to become socially smart, right? These skills cannot be systematized, and it takes time to develop. Hence, if somebody try to focus and develop great social skill or emotional intelligence, it will be massively beneficial in 5 to 10 years time. And this is where more and more people will be required in the key positions in the future. And even to explore new markets, even if we have extra capital and want to create more jobs and want to explore new avenues of business, these skills will be required. Second skill where machines cannot beat human is interpretation with context. Machines do not are and generally they are not great in analyzing something with reference to the context. A machine is likely to take the same decisions repetitively regardless of the context, and this is where humans are great. So developing such a skill set will be important for future. So creative thinking and ability to think holistically, finding solutions, negotiation, bargaining, connecting with people, learning the customer problem, and developing good customer-centric approach. These are the strengths that will be required in any good employees of the future. Okay. So there is no all the bad news. There are some great news also lying ahead of us. Of course, I understand and that there is almost few reports on daily basis in different magazines, in media, newspapers that AI is coming and it can wipe out so many jobs. It can cause a lot of unemployability. But we need to take that with a pinch of salt, and also we need to, as I said earlier, we need to understand that with the context in mind. Without context, no news has any meaning. Okay, so yes, AI is going to drive a lot of business, and I also would say that as per another report of Harvard Business Review, this year itself, 10% jobs in US alone are going to be lost to automation. Half of the jobs in US itself in next 10 years are going to be lost to robotics process, AI, machine learning, etc. And if it is going to be that in US, of course, you can feel the ripple effect. There will be dominoes effect all over the world We cannot be immune to such changes. Those losses are imminent, unavoidable. What we should do? We should just be ready for new types of roles that is also likely to be created. If we are going to lose 5 million jobs, then we are also likely to get similar number of jobs in other fields. Are we preparing for that? That should be the question. Rather than worrying if we will have the job, if there will be massive automation and somebody can lose the job, we should target what are the new areas, new horizons to explore and get ready for that. So that brings me to another question, which is asked by many young professionals as well as the experienced people, that if we want to prepare ourselves for machine learning or AI as a finance or accounting professional or as a business manager, what should we do? What should be our skill set? What should be the path ahead? So these are another set of questions. I will answer that in the next few slides as I make the progress. So just to finish this one, back to DA, data analytics. So as you can see, this is something part of artificial intelligence and outside that as well. So data analytics helps the machine learning and the artificial intelligence to find out the statistical pattern of data. It has its own tools, which goes very well with the AI algorithms. However, it doesn't mean that DA, the data analytics, is only part of AI. It can be done independently of AI as well. It can be done outside AI system too, using alternative application technology tools or even simple Excel sheet. You can do a great data analytics using Excel or MS Access, etc. So hence, DA is part of AI as well as outside this. Okay, so far we have covered ML, DL, NLP, AI, DA, and finally, as I said, RPA, robotics process automation, is about automating a process. What kind of processes are automated? Those which are repetitive, rule-based, and scalable. So repetitive means every day you are likely to get 500 queries from the question, 500 questions from client and customers. They are quite predictable and the answers are also standard. So those are the questions which are automated. That's why we have Cortana. That's why we have various AI-based customer service softwares, which are great in understanding the questions and providing the responses based on the setup response and the feedbacks. So if you have same scenario, same questions every day, thousands of times, it is great for RPA. If somebody is going to do the same reconciliation on daily basis based on the same set of data which is saved on a particular locations, you can target that for robotic process automation. Because all you need to do is clearly articulate what are the steps to follow, what are the input source of data, and what will be the format of the output, who the output will be sent to, or where the output to save, and what are the steps to complete the procedure. So how the operations will be completed, what kind of analysis is required, what formulas are used, and what are the data to be selected. If you can put down everything in a step and give to a good programmer or coder, they can develop codes to automate the input operations and how to save the data in a given locations. That is robotic process automation. Many accountants are also good in some light coding, such as coding in Excel. You can do RPA, robotic process automation, in Excel as well, using macro. Some people can do, those who understand Visual Basic, they can do the coding in macro, and you can prepare entire report, entire reconciliation, calculation of ratios, analysis in Excel using macro and Visual Basic. These are part of robotic process automation, RPA. So you can see RPA can do some similar job, what is expected from AI, but at a very basic level. But it is not part of AI. Of course, it can be mingled with AI and it can be made more useful. However, RPA can work independently, right? So we can record a macro, we can do some coding in Visual Basic in Excel, and that can be called RPA without using any machine learning or AI tools. Okay, and there's a massive market for RPA out there. All you need to do is find out what part of your business can be automated. What part of your business has repetitive, same kind of analytics required on daily basis. A. B. Is that scalable? Do you have hundreds or thousands of such queries or the same process on daily basis that needs to be done? How many number of hours you spend on the similar activity on daily basis? If you see that multiple staff are doing the same thing on daily basis, or there are thousands of similar questions or the transactions on daily basis, then it could be a good target for RPA as well. So these are the process which are the good target or objective for RPA. Moving on to next exciting discussion. So there was a survey conducted with 250 executives of various firms globally, and we found out a pattern of what executives think of AI, what they think of AI as a tool, what kind of benefit they expect from AI, and there are some very interesting insight from this. Though we say that headcount reduction could be the primary goal of AI, but that is not the case. Only 22% executives say that they want to reduce the headcount using AI, but more than half of executives said they want to find out new feature, new functions, or make their products much better. More than half of the executives said that. 35% of them said they want to make better decisions using AI, or create, 32% said that they want to create altogether new product, new offerings, and some really want to optimize their business process. So we have heard of business process reengineering, BPR, making things smarter, making process more Kaizen, more efficient, more effective. So 36% of executives want to use AI in those fields. They want their workers to become more creative in automating tasks using AI. And a quarter of executives want to target altogether a new market. They want to explore the world. They want to go into blue ocean, finding out new markets for their products and services. So these are some of the top priorities of executives who wants to use AI. And we can see reducing headcount is not one of the top priority. Only 22% is targeting that. And of course, once the headcount is reduced in one business by even those 22%, it doesn't mean that it is not going to help create new roles, right? AI is bringing a lot of good news as well. Okay, so moving on to see some statistical picture of AI in business and finance. So by 2023, not too far, hardly 2 to 3 years from now, so digital banking penetration will be around 75% plus, because digital banking is quite reiterative, stepwise, process driven, and repetitive in the nature. Nothing new is suddenly, required. It's quite predictable business. So digital banking will help the adoption of AI, and in fact, AI will help digital banking, and that adoption will reach 75% plus. Also, by 2023, same time span, 2 to 3 years, cost saving of different corporates will be around $500 billion, 447 billion, massive cost saving, and 80% of the banks are aware of the potential benefit of AI. Of course, we will also explore that how much people are aware of AI, but 80% of banks are aware of the massive benefits due to AI. And if I were to quote one statistics by World Economic Forum, by 2025, one quarter, like 25% of the entire GDP at global level, at the global scale, will be coming from businesses related to AI or impacted by AI. So AI is going to generate almost 25% of global businesses, global GDP by 2025, and we are not too far, just 5 years away. Hence, we need to start thinking of how AI can help us. Rather than fearing, we need to think how AI can help us, what can we do, how we can improvise or make things more effective, how we can find out new market, new product, new feature, new performance using AI and automations, and how we adopt AI, how to make the company more adaptive to AI, how to make my staff managers more open to AI and how they can learn more about this, how their AI quotient, or I should say, how their AI IQ can be improved so that organization can be ready at a much faster pace to adopt this technology. These are the benefit, these are the focus area for the executives, those who want to leverage AI for their business, for those who want to stay on the top of the things. Otherwise, of course, the fear can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. The fear that people think that AI can be devastating can really become devastating if one is not getting ready for adoption of AI in an appropriate way. We should remember that in last 60, 70 years, to be precise, 65 years, 70% of the companies from Fortune 500 got out of the Fortune list. 65%, 70% companies has been dropped out of Fortune 500 list in last 70 years. Just 30% are there in Fortune 500. That is the pace of the change. 10% of those companies who were 70 years ago in Fortune 500, they do not exist anymore. That is even worse news. In 70 years, a company which is in Fortune 500 can just disappear altogether. Right? So change spares no one. Whether a company is at the top or at the bottom, change can, just challenge the status quo. Being on the top doesn't mean that a company will remain there. And AI, analytics, quantum computing, or machine learning, these are the power, disruptive forces which can change the entire landscape. If a company, if business people, if the professionals are not ready to leverage this technology, leverage and get ready for these changes. And the prediction is, various agencies such as Forrester, etc., have done extensive research, and the prediction is that earlier it used to take 70 years for 70% companies to drop out of Fortune 500. It took 70 years earlier, but in next 15 years, same thing can happen. It will not take 70 years now. What used to take 70 years now will be done within 10 to 15 years. 50% plus company can disappear in next 10 years from Fortune 500. 70% companies can disappear from Fortune 500 in next 15 years. And we know the reasons why. What are the forces? What are the disruptions that can make that happen? Hence, we need to get ready. We need to adopt this without fear, because there are different ways to approach this. Okay. So, time to adapt. As AI completes 7 decades of its existence, it is driving efficiency. Many companies are adopting the more automated functions and getting rid of paper-based processes. Paper consumption of 10,000 pages per person per year are now being automated. 50% of the papers which are used in the account opening are rejected, and impact the and understand the impact of that on environment, the carbon footage, etc. So it is also very good for environment as well. When we reduce the dependence on the paper and we become more digital, we become more automated. And similarly, 60% of customer dissatisfactions sources basically are originated from the back office. And those back office transactions can be supported by automated functions like AI. The employee and the staff can focus on creating value rather than doing the iterative, boring, the same day-to-day things on regular basis. Because when people are bored, they also become less effective and efficient in their own role. So if we can outsource or kind of give those activities to the RPA, robotic process, or the artificial intelligence, the staff who are working on the business, they will be diverted to much more creative or value-adding tasks. They will be even more efficient in those tasks, and machine can do the iterative processes or transactional processes, resolving customer issues. Those things machines can do much better because they don't get distracted. They can monomaniacally focus on the same thing for hours and hours without committing or doing any error. They are not emotional. They can just continue working for thousands of hours without getting burned out. Hence, we can also improve customer experience using these automated tools. So automation of back offices can also do net cost saving of up to 30%. Okay, so there are various benefits of adopting these smart tools. Here is a list of various companies in the front office, middle office, and back offices which are adopting AI, and they are just creating great examples of how adoption can improve their bottom line, and it is possible. So next, I'm going to talk about some of the businesses which has already adopted AI with open arms, though definitely it is not the complete list. Complete list will be everlasting. So AI and credit decisions. How AI can help us in a smart credit decision. Generally, credit worthiness are checked on the basis of financial history, financial profiles of any businesses, their cash flow, their cash cushions. So analyzing all these numbers, performing a very good ratio analysis within seconds, and going into the details of the financial transactions of any business can be done very accurately by AI powered machines. So those decisions can be done maybe in 1% of the time that will be taken by a human, and still it can be very, very accurate. All we need to do is set up right rules, logics, and algorithm, and then enter all the financial transactions and the details and the statements. The output will be whether the loan should be given or not, or how much loan should be given. So AI can do a great deal of business in credit decisioning. Risk management. AI has immense power to process data, and that too at a very fast pace. In the world of risk management, an analyst or staff cannot process the transaction beyond certain speed. Every human staff has a limited speed, but AI and its tools do not have such limitations. While any fraud is being committed, while somebody is trying to play imposter or trying to steal the data, the AI powered tools can suspect those behaviors. It can analyze all these anomaly or attempt to hack or any breach of security measures on live basis. A human can take a couple of minutes to understand what is going on, and then something could have been done. But AI can do all these analytics on live basis. By the time somebody is trying to key in the data or making any mistake or trying to hack or trying to do the social engineering or impostering for a client, AI can suspect those things at a much faster pace and can do the risk management much better. It can also analyze the history of various risk cases and develop its own logic to identify such behaviors. It can develop its own pattern, analytics, and tools to find out how the risks are risk management is enhanced. So we can rely on AI and robotics for risk management as well, because it has enormous processing power of data and it can handle a lot of data at a much faster pace as well. Trade processing. When it comes to doing real-time trading, analytics, analyzing the news in the market, a human cannot beat AI. In the world of finance, there are billions of fresh news being updated every minute. There are news in the market, political, economical, socio-cultural, varieties of news are triggered every minute, and they all have impacts on the trade and the financial market as well. Generally, humans have certain limitations to interpret and use them, but machines don't have such limitations. If we need to place a buy or sell order, and we need to decide which market is the best, which timing is best, how much we should go for, whether we should buy or sell, whether this news is going to have any impact for my company or any particular trade, these things takes a lot of time for a human. What an AI tool can become much faster or much smarter in analyzing and taking actions as well. So a trader which can buy or sell order, but will take time. But AI tool can help one find out the electronic routing of algorithm, which market, which desk, which currency to use, and how the trading strategy should be built to get all the orders cleared. These things can be done based on the previous historical data by the AI tools. They can be great into this because they are fast and they have enormous processing power again. So the trading, which is a very competitive business, because within second one can make or lose billions. So in trading, if we use AI, there's massive potential. Now, sorry. So companies such as M.IoD, it's a massive multi-billion-dollar investment fund, which has been known for leveraging smart technologies such as AI, has invested massively in such tools, and its CEO, Matthew Sargason, has also been a big fan of AI, and the entire firm has been dedicated to use artificial intelligence in their trading. We will see a short 5-6 minutes long video and watch how AI has been helping Man-AHL investment, and this will also be a good example how others can also leverage AI. It is a massive and enormously beneficial tool which is leveraged by man. So let's see how man investment use artificial intelligence.
Man-AHL is a quantitative fund manager with a history stretching back to 1987. We are strongly evidence-based. We aim to build models that capture repeatable patterns in markets. Our background is practical and scientific, and our objective is to apply our knowledge to produce significant financial value for our clients.
People do describe what we do as black box trading, implying something secretive and possibly dangerous, but what we actually do is something very open. We choose what goes into the computer. And everything that we trade is a rule or a model that we have built ourselves. And it's the use of computers to systematically deliver those rules that brings the discipline to our trading that drives our performance.
At first glance, the market can be full of noise. The movements are hard to predict. Our job is to try to distill the signal from this chaos. Using the latest statistical techniques, we try to find patterns that exist for sound reasons, are repeatable, and that we can turn into a profitable trading strategy.
The background of our team is diverse, both by country and by training. HL has mathematicians, physicists, computer scientists, and engineers, amongst others. And across our team, we speak over 25 different languages at home. We do not look at markets through a traditional finance lens. We don't start with strong beliefs about how markets should behave. We are driven by the study of data, and this is what informs our investing process. We want HL to be the best place for quants to work in Europe. Our researchers are completely unconstrained and can look at whatever markets and whichever models they think we can find alpha in. We foster a highly creative and energetic environment.
Although momentum strategies provided the origins and foundations of Man-AHL, the company has developed over time into now a fully fledged quantitative manager trading a wide range of systematic strategy styles. Technical strategies, for example, look to discover patterns in seasonality, patterns in predictable behaviors across major economic events, or patterns in the mean reverting nature of yield curves. And we use both established practices as well as more recent advances in machine learning to capture this. Fundamental strategies use non-price information to determine trading signals. And these might be, for example, carry strategies in fixed income, macro data signals in currencies and commodities, or long-short equity models based on the fundamental data for individual companies.
To build state-of-the-art quantitative trading models requires a state-of-the-art technology and market data platform. This allows models to be conceived, implemented, back-tested and traded with a minimum of overhead. Having a common programming language and unified code base facilitates a collaborative working environment where researchers and technologists naturally exchange ideas in an open environment.
To be at the leading edge of quantitative finance, to open up those new and genuinely different markets, you have to be prepared to roll your sleeves up and work that little bit harder. At Man-AHL, we do just that.
Our job is to ensure best execution for our clients. As competition is key to this, we have multiple trading routes. Man-AHL developed algorithms, best-of-breed third-party algorithms, and a manual trading desk. We continually enforce rigorous competition between these routes to ensure we're always trading optimally.
The way that a trade is produced is our system collects data at various points in the day for each of the 400 markets we trade and adds them to our price series. Based off a number of indicators, the trading system will then look at the position that we have and look at the optimal position that we should have. If there's a difference between the two, then a trade is produced. After the trade is produced, it's either executed by a team of traders in London or Hong Kong, or by VT, our virtual trading system. Typically, we trade 2,000 to 2,500 times a day, and that could be anything between $5 and $15 billion worth. Man-AHL wanted to partner with a leading research university. The idea was to build a commercial research lab and have our own staff in that lab, embedded within an academic institute. We ended up building the Oxford Man Institute and the Man Research Laboratory.
One way that OMI has really changed the landscape is the way that it has been able to fund brilliant young researchers from around the world. We have some of the very best from China, some of the very best from Europe, and some of the very best from Africa, able to come here and work, developing their disciplinary excellence and also being aware and learning how these excellences fit together to do significant things in quantitative finance.
Man-AHL is about trying to pull together a bunch of people who are passionate about making money in the market, trying to build successful trading strategies, and being efficient about getting best execution. This is a team-based approach and not based on one individual.
Our clients include the world's largest pension funds, sovereign wealth funds, foundations, and endowments. and our objective is to solve their investment problems using our unique set of tools. We want to engage with our clients in a partnership. We're keen to discuss what we do and share our insights, and believe that the risks of not sharing information are often greater than the risks of sharing. We seek to be transparent.
Great, so we are back to our slide. What we learned is the importance of collaboration and the teamwork. So the team-based approach, no matter how much high-tech we become, the team-based approach is mandatory. We also need to continue to pull the best minds from various disciplines to make the best decision, even in the age of AI and machine learning. AI and machine learning are just a medium and the tool for all the different professionals to leverage. So Man-AHL is leveraging the minds in the field of mathematics, physics, various science, finance, account, management, computer scientists and engineers. So they are bringing the skill from various disciplines, building a multidisciplinary team to build and execute the best logics using the artificial intelligence. So what we learned is that no matter how smart the machine becomes, still the human ability to interact, form, collaborate, work as a team, and human ability to think interdisciplinarily are the key strength that we all possess. We have indispensable skill set. We have unique strength over computers and AI, which remains unbeatable in the decades to come. The key point is that we need to know how to leverage AI, and we need to be able to understand its business applications. So now I'm going to answer one of the key question, that how accountants and professionals and the finance experts can leverage artificial intelligence. So the answer is that we don't need to, as a finance and accounting professional, as a business professional, we don't need to become the experts in coding or programming. Essentially, coding and programming could be 20%, 25% of the entire artificial intelligence implementation process. 75%, and any such number, without being very hard and fast about that percentage, any such number can only be, so majority of the tasks basically are going to depend on how we visualize our own business, how we improvise this, where we want to put AI in the entire business process, how we tag the data, how data is entered in our system. Are they entered systematically, or they are just haywire? Are all our applications, technology, platform, systems, are they talking to each other? Do we have all the messaging from one application to another application done systematically? Are the informations fed from one system to another system straight through processing? Are information STP or handled manually? So once we ensure that our existing systems and platforms are evolving or they are mature, once we ensure that the data which is fed into the systems are reliable and consistently formatted, then the AI can be adopted. And even before that, our executives, our managers, business and finance professionals need to know the different terminologies, the case studies, the use cases of AI, how other businesses are leveraging artificial intelligence and the machine learning, robotics, etc. They need to understand where the competitors are in terms of these machines and AI, and how this technology can be used in our own business. Because every business is unique, our clients' requirements are unique. We need to customize the usage of AI into our business. It is not a copy-paste model. It is about bringing the best aspect of the machines into our existing business and improvising this. Because it is also observed in many research that many senior professionals, those who have spent decades in the business, they are still not aware of the basics of the artificial intelligence, how it works, and to what extent they need to just understand the use cases of AI, and who needs to know the coding. These things should be very, very clear. And one thing I would like to make very obvious that not all the professionals who are working in AI, everyone who is going to lead and work into AI need to know the coding. 70% people, in fact, can work and lead AI projects without knowing the coding, without being a programmer, because artificial intelligence and its adoption does not mean it is only for the computer scientists and computer engineers. It is a thinking process. It is about the vision. It is about the mindset. It's not about just programming. So, as an accountant and finance professionals, we need to understand our business model, where AI can fit, how to make the AI-based culture, and then lead the entire team or work with colleagues and the peers to work on AI project. These are essential skill set which is needed for accountant and finance professionals. For that, we don't need to know coding and programming. We just need to understand how smart technologies like AI and machine learning can be used in the banking, finance, and various other business processes. And we should be able to design the process. We should be able to visualize how things work. And when it comes to the coding and programming, the computer engineers can do that very well. There are various languages, in fact, which are used in AI, and they are not very complex as well, by the way. Those who still have the passion to learn the coding can opt for that. The programming languages such as R, Python, or any such tools like Hadoop can help one learn programming in artificial intelligence, but it is only for those who are passionate about learning coding as a finance professional. But still, you can do a lot without knowing those. So that's the good news. 70% is not the coding requirement. 30% is the coding requirement, but 70% is still non-coding based, purely a business understanding based requirement for working and leading an AI project. Another case study here for a company called investment bank called JP Morgan. So it's called Coin project, where typically lawyers and loan officers used to spend 360 hours every year tackling very basic tasks, mundane tasks, and interpreting commercial loan agreement. The Coin, a machine learning tool which was developed to handle such business and interpret the commercial loan agreements, is able to do all this in a couple of hours, which means saving around 360,000 hours of professional work. You can imagine how many FTE, how many people's jobs have been saved, how much new capital has been created or saved using artificial intelligence and machine learning based programs. And it is just one of the thousands of examples. There will be thousands of such softwares powered by machine learning and AI, which are created globally. But if we start learning how these tools work, how different businesses are exploring and leveraging this tool, and we can try to find out similar cases within our own company, here we go. We have already covered few steps for AI implementation. When it comes to AI, there are various, again, prototypes and archetypes which is used. Most of the AI or robotic process falls into the first two categories. which is task robots and meta robots. Task robots is the simplest in the series, where the activities which are automated are quite repetitive, as we discussed earlier, rule-based, and relies on structured data. Data are quite important part of robotic process, because if somebody say enters a simple data such as date of birth, so it can be, the simple date can be written in 10-15 different ways. A company which is going to adopt AI should standardize how to enter and key in the data, or convert all such data into one systematic format. The different type of database, formats, application, technology, everything needs to evolve to come up to the stage called AI readiness. So the organization needs to become AI ready by improving and getting more systematic technologically. Okay, so task robots is all about replicating the complex process action, performing action based on the rules which are set, and typically task robots relies on one application or one system. Whereas meta robots, they also fulfill similar kind of functions, similar type of task, which is repetitive, scalable, which means at a large scale. But meta robots also involve multiple applications. So it leverage API, application programming interface level integration. So it leverages multiple functions, multiple applications at a time. It sources the data and files from different sources, then apply the rules which is already provided or it has developed as algorithm. And based on the data and algorithm, it operates, it completes the process and provides the output. So that is meta robots. Most of them, 80% of the businesses are relying on task robot and meta robots. Some very advanced one, in fact, are using IQ robots as well, which are really adaptive. And they are independent. They can develop their own rules and the logics. They can explore the data and find out the unidentified patterns. They can also leverage unstructured data, and here's the great news. Because for them, if any new data is fed, it's not a problem. They can figure out what is written there. So they are really interesting and intelligent tools. They use fuzzy rules. So fuzzy rules is something which, fuzzy rules means a set of rules which are not binary. So it doesn't mean that the answer should be yes or no. The fuzzy rules can also rely on an answer which can be yes or no, and it can still figure out what to do. So fuzzy rules has much more cognitive power. For fuzzy rules to apply, you do not have to have the answer in yes or no, black and white, low or high. You can have a third option as well. So IQ robots are much smart and intelligent. Then comes AI robots, which are still not developed. It is really, really complex, multi-system based, and they use really advanced AI technologies and relies on high amounts of unstructured data. So AI robots are not built yet. IQ robots are still in practice, but 80% plus business activities are performed by when they are automated. So 80% of the robots and AI tools are really task and meta robots. Only 15% or so are IQ robots, and AI robots are not done or still in preparation. AI and robotics model based on the complexity of projects. So this diagram provides us a glimpse of how the complexity of the projects can help us map which kind of technology should be used. So, for example, if a project is more deterministic, data-based, yes/no based, or action-oriented, then we can use business process management, BPM, or workflow optical character reader, OCR. We can also use some basic visual basic macros, robotic tools, or we can use some end-to-end process automation using some simpler automation tools like robotic process automation. So these are more deterministic. For simpler robotics applications, we can rely on deterministic projects, which are simply fetching and reading the data. When it comes to interpreting the data which has been extracted, then we use intelligent technology, okay, which is in the center. So intelligent technology uses the data, interpret it, and find out a pattern, find out a meaning out of that, which is image recognition, document type recognition, right? It also tries to predict or analyze the patterns or the information which is found. So predictive and analytical abilities, developing algorithm, that is the borderline between intelligent and cognitive functions, right? So some of the intelligent tools are also able to handle analytics and pattern recognition, which is also part of cognitive abilities. Cognitive abilities also covers expert system, machine learning, and neural networking. So neural network replicates the way human behaves, or the human mind works. It also covers natural language processing. So NLP, deep learning, etc., are part of cognitive functions. So depending on the type of projects that we have at hand or the business demands, we can apply different robotics model, which are deterministic, intelligent, and cognitive. Moving on, the challenges in the road of AI. So there was a survey conducted by Deloitte in 2017, not long ago, 3 years ago, that what are the issues, challenges, which is derailing the artificial intelligence adoption in the organizations. And quite surprisingly, almost half of them said it is hard to integrate cognitive projects with existing processes and systems. And here we go. That's what we have discussed in last half an hour. That most of the organizations are not able to adopt AI because of their inherent applications, their existing process, the technology, the platform, or maybe all the platforms and tools are great, but they are not talking to each other. Or the data which is entered into the systems traditionally, they are not consistent. They are not, they don't have right formats. So the technology and the system, the entire system architecture needs to evolve first before they become AI ready. Then 40% said technologies and expertise are too expensive. Of course, there are not many people who are aware of artificial intelligence and its business applications. There are not many engineers who are good at AI coding as well. Plus, not so surprisingly, managers don't understand cognitive technologies and how they work. And that's what we are talking about here. In this last entire 1.5 hours, we have been talking about the fact that many managers, executives, business professionals, financial accountants, and other experts, they don't understand the smart tool, cognitive technologies, and their business application and the usage. We are not talking about that, they need to know coding and programming. We are saying 37% of the managers don't understand the cognitive technologies and the tools. Then we also have like a shortage of people who have expertise in the technology in general, or the technologies that organizations have currently, they are too immature, extremely at nascent stage, not ready for AI deployment at all. So these are some of the top issues, but definitely top 3 that we have are hard to integrate cognitive tools or technology with the existing process. People who have understanding of AI are too expensive, and managers don't understand cognitive tools. Hence, these are the 3 things all organizations should focus first. upgrade their existing ecosystem, technological ecosystem, educate their managers, and take initiative to train more and more people on AI readiness. Moving on, how to grow, how to make the organizations ready for AI deployment. The focus should be for AI readiness, to have a plan and communicate that we are going to grow. We are not doing AI implementation to cut cost. We need to be very explicit to our employees and the team and entire organizations and the society at large, in fact, that the AI adoption is not about cutting the cost. It is not about the headcount reduction, but it is about growing ourselves, the business, the tools, the customer base, right? Then we can get more say. Then we can get more people buying into our idea of AI adoption. It is inherent to any change management program that a change manager should always communicate their vision very clearly and should convince people that it is for the benefit and the growth of everyone. And it is not going to harm any participant who is going to help in change. And that vision should be very clear for the artificial intelligence adoption as well. Benefit is immense. So one of the subset of retailers, when they adopted AI, basically, the sale shot up. There is a massive increase of sale when the AI is used in finding out new market, new pattern, new habits. And it can also improve the dynamic pricing in the retail businesses. And this is just one of the millions of examples where AI can help. Secondly, invest in the technical and managerial talent. We have identified the issues that there is a shortage of technical and managerial talent when it comes to AI adoption. Organizations should focus on that. There should be a program called DevOps engineer. There should be a program called next gen machine learning engineers. Because right now, if we just look at any country, basically, if there is 100 million workers, 150 million workers, then there are only 235,000 data scientists. It is too small. If we do not have sufficient data scientists, those who can interpret or handle the data efficiently, then AI adoption will definitely be either very slow or extremely expensive. So we need to churn out more professionals, and that is something the university, colleges, and the institutions should also work on. Corporates, organizations, multinational corporations should also work closely with educational institutions to create more data scientists and AI professionals. This should be a joint initiative between the industry and academia. Academia should also focus on creating more hands-on expertise, such as in smart tool and data science, rather than churning out traditional computer scientists and computer engineers, those who are more adept in kind of old style technology. That is not going to help much. And the focus should move to the new technologies, data science, artificial intelligence, machine learning, natural language processing, etc. Be open to revising your strategic goals. Since we are in a dynamic world, also called VUCA, V-U-C-A. We are in a business world which is more volatile, complex. V for volatile, C for complex, U for uncertain, and A for ambiguous. So in such situation, we cannot just make one plan and continue that one for 5 years or 10 years. We need to continuously review, revise, and adopt new plans. So be open to revise strategic goals. It will help. The survey suggests that 12 of the 15 sectors studied, company that is using AI and smart tools are able to have profit margin which is 5 points higher, which is instead of 13%, they are reporting 18% profit, which is massive. 5 points higher, over 13%, right? So that's like 35% higher profit. So similarly, there was a media group of Oslo, which was entirely physical paper-based newspaper, and they went online. They opened new revenue market and started to generate 80% of the group's earning from the entire digital version of their newspaper. Had they resisted going online instead of the physical paper, they would have lost 80% of their revenue earning. So imagine the benefit of leveraging AI and adopting new business requirements. Relying on solid digital foundation, of course, so creating a sound digital foundation is essential for artificial intelligence and its adoption. We cannot aim to have AI and smart technology and still have old school digital foundation. We cannot have application tools, platforms, and systems which are not connected to each other, which are not talking to each other, which all have different formats and different style of reporting. So we need to have a solid digital ecosystem. So we need to create AI ecosystem where industry, academia, government, regulators, investors, in fact, all work together to create an AI ecosystem, create new finance, capital, investment pools. We need to have entrepreneurs who can take more risk and try new AI tools, so that when the organizations are ready to implement AI tools, we have the support system as well. If you look at the investment, the amount of capital which is ready, United States is doing great. In 2016, the entire AI pool, in the entire AI pool, basically, the United States had 66% of the investment. So it is working quite aggressively. China also had 17% of the entire AI pool in 2016, which is only second to US. Europe, London, many such financial centers are also doing great in investing in AI tools, technologies, training people. So they are all fantastic initiatives. In fact, it is right time to mention the government of India has also recently changed its education policy called NEP, new education policy. So that requires a student from 6th standard to 12th standard learn about new and smart technologies, coding, programming, and with a particular focus on artificial intelligence. So when the kids straight from 6th standard can start trying their hands, think creatively, find out the AI related tools and how they can be developed, and how to code for AI straight from 6th standard, then we can create millions of new AI experts in years to come, which are great initiatives. However, it doesn't mean that it is sufficient. It is not adequate. We need to take more such initiatives. We need to create more talent pool and capital pool both to realize and achieve the vision of artificial intelligence and smart tools. Value of collaboration, we have discussed earlier, even in case of Man AHL case study, that without the great collaboration between human and machine, the AI cannot work efficiently. Because AI can give you the report, but a human have to interpret this. It is the human which is interacting with the client, the businesses. It is a human which is going to negotiate and think creatively, find out new product, design new product, and find out new business and markets. AI is only going to make things faster, find out new patterns, new features, or do data mining to get some new information and insights. But without a great collaboration between human and machine, the business cannot realize the potential or optimal level of benefits from AI. This is also a good news, because whenever human-machine collaboration is needed, that means machine cannot on its own do much. AI cannot do much without a human touch. That means the human will continue to stay critical and relevant to any business, at least in decades to come. We just need to get more used to the AI and such tools. We just need to be, we need to embrace, we need to be more open to such tools. And combination between the human and machine can do great. Hence, at the start of the slide, I had the one hand of machine, one hand of human, and touching each other, working together. Because human and machine collaboration is the key for realizing the optimal benefits of AI. Then here is some suggested way and models to implement AI in any organization. One is hub and spoke model. Another one is gray area. So hub and spoke model primarily emphasizes that there should be a research and development team placed in the center of any organization in one place, and they can do a lot of research for various businesses. Say, for example, we have an organization based in 50 countries, and they have 20 different functions: AI, research and development, operation, R&D, supply, sales, marketing, compliance, finance, strategy, so on and forth. The AI team, which is based in a central location, can spend billions and billions and with hundreds of people and experts. They are working day and night to create advanced tools for various functions and businesses. And after creating this and testing, they can pass on those tools to respective functions. They can work closely with the functions in different geography, say HR or finance, and they can help the entire AI tool to implement. That can be a great tool, because then not every team has to worry about developing their own AI mindset or AI professionals. Yes, they can have their smart business people and finance and accountants who can work with the AI counterparts, but they don't have to heavily invest into AI, or they don't have to think much or train their own team for AI. This generally works in most of the organization quite efficiently. Then we also have gray area. In that function, in that model, basically, there are shared responsibility. So the IT or the artificial intelligence expert team will work closely with various functional teams, such as, say, for example, finance function. They will develop the tools and technology and applications with the finance team will give the requirement, user specific details. They will work closely, develop the prototype, they do the testing and improvise this and finally implement it. So there could be a gray area model as well. This is also evolving, and many organizations prefer that when they want to have control on what kind of tools are being developed by the AI team. So gray area, gray model is another one which is popular in AI implementation. Okay, so this is the hub and spoke model, and finally we have the gray model, where the AI team work closely with the functional team and develop the tools and technology for AI adoption. Putting it all together, what we learned, that for AI adoption, there should be an innovation priority. There should be priority of the organization to invest in innovation and to improving the business and functions. There should be also an AI ecosystem which focus on creating the right set of data, making data more standardized, connect the system and technologies, make the existing IT and system architecture more mature, so that AI implementation can become more seamless. Then thirdly, there should be more investment into AI-based training. The executives and the staff, they should be trained for AI adoption. There should be an AI literacy initiative in every organization to make people more aware about what AI can do and how it can do. What are the pros and cons and how to handle the AI-based initiatives. And finally, we need to support the digitization, because as we have understood from the very start, AI is heavily based on the digital data. If we don't have the digitization of the data, the AI cannot work. It cannot really infer any conclusion. It cannot give you any information based on 10 pieces of data. We need to have millions and millions pieces of data and information. Then AI can really draw a pattern and it can be reliable and beneficial. So all the organizations and economies at large should focus on digitization of their businesses, so that we can get more data in a single file or one server in a more systematic manner. Then AI tools can be applied to get the useful information. It's like churning. It's like skimming the butter, from milk. If we don't have the data, AI tool, no matter how smart it is, cannot work. So educate everyone, educate all organizations, staff, people, leaders, executives, reinforce the change philosophies. Whatever is important for change management is important for AI implementation and adoption as well. Make the business accountable for their AI objectives. Make it a year-end goal. And track the performance of the staff and executives both on their AI initiative. Track those and facilitate the adoption. Become the change manager, become the change agent to help everyone achieve their AI objective, not only yours. Also help others achieve their AI objective as well, because it is a combined game, it is combined goal. And the business unit must lead AI projects. It cannot be just a goal of a change team or the goal of a IT or AI experts. It is an initiative of, for, and by everybody. And provide incentive at the end, because that is another way people are motivated sometimes. So that really is for how to adopt artificial intelligence. We have discussed how accounting and finance can learn and what they need to do in AI-centric world. What is the expectation from accounting and finance and the business leader in AI-based world? We have also discussed what they can learn. What is the key courses? What are the key programming languages which are used in AI? We have discussed pros and cons of AI. What is there to fear from AI? And as I said multiple times, there is not much to fear. Of course, there is a lot more to explore and adopt about AI. It is going to be a disruptive force, but it can also bring a lot of good news. And if used appropriately, it can create a lot of jobs, employment, and it can create new capital as well. It can bring the humanity to a different level. It can change the entire orbit. AI can also be used in detecting lots of natural disasters at early stage. It can be used to detect several life-threatening disease at the very, very early stage. It can make the financial market more integrated. It can help everyone spread knowledge and awareness. It can help people get educated better. It can also help us do better agriculture. It can also solve the food crisis. It can also solve the climate change issues. It can do a lot more things than we are worrying for. It is going to bring a lot of benefit if we are aware of how to leverage artificial intelligence and smart technologies. And there are ways. So with that, I will end this presentation and video. And in case you have any further question or query, you can post on the comment, or you can also send an email on Nidhish, NIDHISH @finsapient.com. FinSapient continues to bring such videos and the classes, webinar, etc. on such technology, career tips, and accounting finance issues and the training programs time to time. So stay tuned to our updates. We also have training programs on artificial intelligence and smart technologies for accountant and finance. We have a good short-term program on smart technology for business leaders. So you can inquire for these things as well. You can send an email for inquiry on connect@finsapient.com, and we'll respond. We'll work together to make a more AI-friendly world where we can solve more problems more effectively. Thank you so much for listening.